working on the 1972 Stingray. And, we've been trying to get this thing started and keep running. So we do have a few issues. The fuel pump is not pumping. So we tried multiple things with the fuel pump, such as priming the pump and on both sides of the fuel pump, and it just would not pump. I mean, no big surprise. The diaphragm's probably shot on it. It's been sitting around for a while. So easy way to get to the fuel pump, I'll show you once I start putting it on, is basically just taking the wheel off here and going through the wheel well there. So we've got some fuel pumps over here on the bench, and let me show you some differences. I said, hey, what's the difference? LS5, LS6, fuel pump, Chevelle, Corvette. Well, there are some differences. And the center one is the fuel pump that came off the Corvette. And if you'll look closely, you'll see the one that I got. It's clocked all the same way as far as the fittings go. But if you look at how the fittings are clocked for the LS6 Chevelle, you can see it's quite different, so it wouldn't work out. So interesting thing there. So there you go. All right, so there's our objective, and you can see the rod fell down in there. I can see it, and I've got to clean that gasket off, but that's where the fuel pump's going to go. And I'm going to back out of here to show you how it was in the wheel well. So we can get it at it that way, and then we can go underneath here and we can get at it this way too. So a couple good ways to get to it. I might turn the steering wheel a little bit to give me more clearance, but it should be okay. I took it out that way. All right, so this is the shaft that goes on the camshaft. The camshaft will actually go around and push this down, and then the fuel pump with the spring on it will push it back. So that action of going back and forth on the engine camshaft and that lever on the fuel pump will make the pump pump. But unfortunately, when you take these fuel pumps out, this shaft likes to drop down, and I talked about that a little bit earlier. So what you can do is I'm going to pack this with grease, okay? So, and then shove it back up there. So it should stay up in the hole and not slide down real quick. And then I'll be able to slide the fuel pump in there without having to deal with this shaft. Otherwise, the shaft comes down too low. All right, so there's what I meant about putting some grease on there. So now I'll shove it back up through the hole, and hopefully that grease will be enough to leave it hanging for a while. All right, I realized it was kind of hard to see on the Corvette, so what I've done is I've gone out in the garage, and I've got a big block here, okay, that I've got sitting on an engine stand. So I just thought I'd show you a nice little close-up of what was going on. So you can see here the rod is coming out of the bottom hole here, okay? It's kind of a long rod, and it's kind of cold out here in the garage, so I think this rod is gonna stay shoved up in there okay. But in the video, I went ahead and put grease on it. So you're basically gonna shove it up in there, and I'll just take the screwdriver and shove that up in there, and it's staying there. And then you got your fuel pump with your gasket. Now I don't have the exact right bolt here, but you're gonna kind of put it in here like that. All right, and then you're gonna tighten it up as so. But like I said in the video, don't forget to put this plug in first, okay? You got the plug that goes underneath here, and if you wait to put the fuel pump on first without the plug, you're gonna have a hard time getting to that. So now you can get at it, you can tighten that up. Gonna put a little sealant on it, and you're gonna put the fuel pump on there with the gasket, and then tighten that up. So you'll have it all set, okay? All right, it's not exactly lining up perfect here, but you get the idea. Now, you are gonna have to tighten this up because it's gonna come, depending on where you're at on the camshaft lobe,
you may be in the downstroke of this little rod here, or you may be in upstroke where it's barely touching. If you're in the downstroke, when you tighten this up, it's going to basically push this down a little bit. Really hard to push these down. So, okay, hopefully you get that idea with a little closer up look.
Now here's a little pipe plug that goes back up in there. Don't forget to, once you get the grease on the shaft, you get the shaft pushed up all the way through that hole. You're going to put this back in before you put the fuel pump on. Otherwise, you won't be able to get to it. All right, went ahead and put the gasket on this side, and that allows me to thread the bolts just a little bit through there. I know I got grease all over my hands, but that's okay. So we will get this installed now. That's going to be... All right, there is the fuel pump bolt, the left one. And if I scan over, you're going to see the fuel line's kind of in the way right now. But I'm going to come out and show you, this is how I got the wrench through there. So basically, this is what my wrench deal looks like. I've got one of these snap-on wrenches that you can basically put a driver on. So you're just gonna go through the hole there to get to where you can see it, and luckily you can see it, and then you're gonna just tighten it up that way. I hope that made sense to you guys. Here's my little setup. Okay, you know, this comes off, and you can kind of get it started like this, and that's a 7/16 on there, and then you can drive it home. So there you go. Now we connect some fuel lines, and hopefully we got action. All right, now don't forget to change out your fuel filter. So I went to O'Reilly's to get that part this morning. I got a Wix fuel filter, and you're gonna have a hole that's gonna go in here first, and then you're gonna put the spring in, and you're gonna have a washer on here too to seal it up. So we'll get that all together. Here we go. All right, there you go. Got the this is a 1-inch fitting here, or not a 1-inch fitting, but a 1-inch wrench on that, 5/8 there. Use some nice line wrenches for the line wrench, and then going down here to the fuel pump, you can see we've got 3 lines going to that. We've got the supply line, which is forward of me to the left, and then to the carburetor, and then the rubber hose goes back to the fuel tank, and then the other rubber hose on the right is a return line to the fuel tank. So I think we're ready to fire this baby up again. It's raining cats and dogs out there, so we'll pop the garage open a little bit and see what we can do. All right, let's give this a shot. Yeah, it's having a little trouble. We'll try to get her going. Well, I'm trying for this Corvette not to get the best of me. It's really testing my patience. This afternoon I took the, still having problems with the electrical system on it. And so I decided to take the starter off, make sure I had a good starter. So I took the starter off, and I did see quite a bit of paint on the pad on the block, which I hate. That makes for a terrible ground. I've done that myself before, and it just doesn't work out. I don't know if my battery's all that great, but I don't know what's going on. So we got the starter back in, and I'm kind of running out of time now. So we'll hit this back on Friday. I'll be back on Friday, and I've got the battery setting on the battery charger. So we'll leave that going, and then we'll put her in, and you know, the battery goes back here on Corvette. So we'll put her back in and give her another shot on Friday. So I think I've got the best of the fuel pump. That's seems to be getting fuel up to the carburetor. So I don't know. I'm whooped. Wrestling that starter is not fun.